Hi there, everyone. It is Deb from Deb's Corner, Canada. I just see this one all the time, and I figured I'd give some tips as we're long overdue. I'm just giving some tips today on the do's and the don'ts of leaving a narcissist. Let's start off with the do's. Do set up your own bank accounts a few months, even years before, if you can. If they are financially controlling, and as we know, most are, and they're abusive with finances, kind of keeping tabs on them. Another good tip that I learned once from a shelter that I saw online there was to buy two of the exact kind of same grocery items, and then you just kind of return one of those for cash. So you buy one and then you return the other one for cash, which is kind of a good idea. And so you can, turnabout here is really fair play. If it helps you feel more prepared and more confident to kind of get yourself and your loved ones to peace and to safety. So it's well worth it, isn't it? And really another kind of do here on our list is to pull your own individual credit bureau a few months or really as far ahead as you possibly can. Their infamy really runs deep into secretly using your credit behind the scenes, taking out loans that you don't know about, which is illegal behind the scenes, or really they'll secure like high interest loans, or they will use you as a reference, or they will have secret credit cards and then just keep the supplementary card. They will do all kinds of things, including really depleting and ruining your credit, which kind of par for the course, really. But really, it's in order to keep you stuck, and it's to keep you not prepared when you figure this out kind of the last minute. Another do here, begin putting even small bills into your name alone. A cable bill, a cell phone that they don't know about, start that off maybe. Things like that. Some kind of a small bill just in your own name. It doesn't have to be a big bill either. Just something just small to kind of start making a history for yourself. Because it's also really designed here when they're offering, to help you, and they'll put everything in their name and take care of you and all this jimmer jammer. But it's really to keep you down and to kind of exert that control whenever possible. And usually they'll use it later, kind of down the road, to maybe threaten you with cutting off this bill or cutting off that bill, or you're not being able to get something in your name later. And usually they'll pull this out when they're auditioning kind of a new unicorn and think they got it made, right? And they'll kind of pull this stuff out. So that's where you'll kind of see the tried and true threats to kind of maybe stop paying a bill, or they'll say things like, oh, you couldn't afford this, or you can't get that. So doubly so here, if they feel that you might kind of pull that escape hatch, or you're asking kind of too many questions, you're catching on to things, you're starting to see behind the mask, you're getting too close to those truths behind the scenes that really after a while you can't not see. And if you don't, or you can't have power or basic internet, or a basic cell phone in your own name kind of down the road, what this is going to do here is be a particularly serious threat to your real financial limitations. Like, it's going to limit you, not them. And it's manufactured so that they can really and honestly screw you over, screw you, your kids, your pets over at a moment's notice whenever they feel like it, to make them feel this sense of fake power and control. And it's also to really simply even maybe transfer those vital services over to the sneaky side supplies place that they're probably already setting up long before this happens. Or they'll use it to after they kick you out and they move the new pony, and they'll just keep using those same services. But it's never for your pets, your children, your extended family's benefit. It is never for your benefit whatsoever. As credit works really basically by being able to provide lenders or service providers with proof of your individual history, of kind of your past regular ability to pay your bills, like to pay them on time. That's kind of what it's all about. That's what they want to know. And so really what it's to make sure that you can adhere to your financial commitments. And so to do that, really, they look at the history of, well, have you done it before? So this is a good time to build that. And it really honestly makes you financially vulnerable to not do so. So it's always something I recommend. It's almost impossible to really kind of secure new credit or vital services if you've never even kind of had a small bill in your own name before leaving. Like, it's becomes a more monumental task than it kind of needs to be. You can kind of get ahead of that, right? And so making it extremely difficult to secure your own basic services that you're probably going to need. And once you do kind of find that strength, finally find that inner strength to leave, adding, it's just going to be adding to an already tense and really stressful situation that you do not need. You do not need on top of everything else. So this will kind of help you ease a little bit of the burden, I think, too. And so also here, I would remove pictures off walls if you must. Do what you've got to do, right? It's your stuff. And so really, simply, replace them with maybe cheaper versions as you go. So like, take something that's yours off and replace it with a cheaper version, that you're not really attached to from like the dollar store or something. And honestly, here's where it's kind of funny in its irony to me, because here's where you can use their entitlement and their intense lack of give a crap and lack of interest in anything besides themselves against them for you, to your benefit, and really use this, just to help you, which is what you're going to need here. And so this will even fall, they'll even fall for the old, I'm just redecorating for you, hook, line, and sinker. And the reason why is the entitlement. You owe them, you're their servant. They figure you truly are just redecorating for them. So, use that to your advantage. And so their entitlement is going to completely blind them to what you're doing to help yourself. And that's okay. That's okay for you to do. So use their blind spots for your own calmer and less kind of a stressful escape. Do what you have to do. And so this also will include things like your passports, marriage licenses. Marriage licenses are actually needed for divorce. You need the actual long form, just to let people know. And so, tax forms that you might need, children's identification, proof of ownership on, say, a property, a car, maybe any family pictures, jewelry that can't be replaced, because they probably will get ruined. Any agreements maybe for credit splitting, tax paperwork, things like that. Also, another do here is to rent a cheap or maybe a small storage locker for cash. And, or you can even honestly sometimes ask a kind neighbor who's probably noticed stuff going on, to maybe have a little corner space in their garage a few months before where you can maybe have a little bin and slowly just kind of migrate your precious, like your paperwork that you need and items you can't replace, things that are of value to you, right? As you can kind of just remove them kind of bit by bit, like remove something, replace it until it's all kind of stored, right? Even you can use an attic or maybe even a hidden space, crawl space, if you're really stuck. But basically start swapping out your things and kind of putting them somewhere safe. So the narcissist will use any items that you leave on walls, in cabinets, cupboards, folders, safes, photo albums as later bargaining chips once you're gone. They will use them, no problem. As a matter of fact, they're hoping that you leave things if you go. They're hoping. So that leads us really to a cold and hard kind of truth here that you need to consider once you go. Any single item that you leave behind is gone forever. Wave goodbye to it, and it no longer exists in your mind. There is no looking back. If this decision is made, this is honestly the best route to go. And that's including pets. I know. Never, ever, ever, ever leave your pet with a narcissist, even overnight. Have a pre-planned arrangement to take them with you, meaning maybe prepare a kennel or maybe a carrier, maybe a friend that's maybe still left standing, and God bless those. Maybe a kindly neighbor that you can trust just for a day or two or a couple days that can just kind of help, that that they'll be safe for a few days while you're kind of navigating this transition for yourself. Or you can even ask a shelter for advice, because a lot of people have pets in these kind of situations, and they're prepared to maybe give you some advice on that too. So feel free to ask them, and I'm sure they can help. Also, never ever take as much as a toothbrush of a narcissist. Don't do it. They will use a hairpin, a string from a dress, or an old earring to try to reconnect with you or force you to meet them again, or ensure you meet them again. And they will also have absolutely no issue selling your items, like just pretending that they can, they never saw them. They'll pretend that, oh, you left that here? Oh, really? And then when they want attention again, they'll suddenly find your item. And that will also force you to reach out to inquire. So you're getting a hold of them, you're coming to them, which is what they want. Another favorite is purposely they will ruin your stuff for fun, for revenge, for fun. I highly recommend also recording your exit. I always, this protects both parties if that helps you to think of it that way. But I always say it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it, especially if it's a legal situation or a landlord situation or something like that. You don't want to be accused of things you didn't do. And, everybody's safer that way, right? They will look for any excuse to pull you back into their orbit. Doesn't matter what it is. If you think about it, just think back a little bit to being stuck with them, right? And just recall the nightmare while you were with them, right? Do you really think when they're out of sight on the daily that by some miracle they're going to change their behavior and all of a sudden they're going to respect your items and make sure you get your items back? And no, they're not. They're not going to respect it. They're not going to all of a sudden change. So same thing goes for you. And I know some people go through some stuff. I've read some stuff for taking revenge on a narcissist on your way out, or all the horrors they've put you through. Resist that urge above all, because don't touch their property, don't take their property. Ergo, video. Nothing because what they're doing is with the smear campaign and all that, they're just itching. They're itching to kind of lay something on your doorstep, and your intention is to leave this chaos and this trouble that they've caused you, right? Not bring it with you. You don't want to bring more with you, which they will do. And anything that you leave or you take is only going to just be more ammo for them. It's only going to be used against you to hurt you or to get you back in the door later. That's all that's going to accomplish anyway. And it might feel good for the moment, but so the biggest reason that folks, it's really another big reason or another way that a toxic narcissist will pull you back into that orbit, right? And thinking, and you might be thinking, oh, they're just being nice, they're just going to make me quick to exchange items. No, that's the first step to pull you back. And keep in mind that once you leave a narcissist once, I find probably takes about 3 to 6 times. It's an addiction. You have a permanent target on your forehead, on your back, wherever you want to place the target. But this will also automatically and subconsciously activate something called a malign Hoover in them. Automatically, they don't even think about it. And you will pay. That means you're going to pay. They will actually retarget you for the insult that you have given them of not staying to take the constant cheating, the constant lying, the constant ghosting, the constant smearing, the constant whatever they're doing, drinking, and whatever else they're doing, right? And the negligence, the abuse, the leaving you for months at a time without a text, that kind of thing, right? Because they're so fantastic, you should stay and take it, and anything else is an insult. And honestly, they'll work this for decades, pull you back into the cycle for decades if they have to. Decades. So this leaving, which in reality is you desperately seeking self-preservation. Perfectly normal. And it will be that prime activator for this malign Hoover. It's just going to activate it. Just how it is. And also what's happening here is this is causing a catastrophic narcissistic injury to them. And especially if you publicly leave one, oh yeah, the target's there. And keep in mind too, that they've been smearing you to your neighbors, their family, your family. They've been giving hints to everybody of your supposed misdeeds long before this day comes, long before this dark day comes for you. And now, you leaving them is going to revert them, of course, right, to that victim mentality, the same crap, right? Where really, oh, you've left them out of the blue and left them with everything after all you've put them through. That kind of junk, right? They will, of course, leave out the actual reasons, the real reasons why a person would flee with their young children or their pets or their extended family or whatever and belongings from another person. So always think about that. Like, that's a lot for someone to go through for trouble they've caused. And those who believe, honestly, that drivel belong with the narc. Leave them with the narc where they belong. Those monkeys, I'd say 70% of them are pretty poisonous themselves, are also going to be screwed over in due time. The second they either wake up or say no to the narcissist, and what you have to do here is you have to let them learn their own lessons. Do not interfere in anyone's karma, else it will be re-energized back to you. And you don't need any more trouble, I'm sure, right? Let them have their karma. Now for the don'ts. So first out of the gate, do not ever, 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 did I mention ever? Ever give a narcissist notice that you are leaving. Ever. Don't button your lip. And it's harder said than done. I know. It's a Hercules task, right? Because that narc is training you over time to jade, justify, argue, defend, explain, over and over, right? Giving you every little detail of every little thing you do throughout the day, the controlling thing. And this is actually one of the reasons why. Because they've known since the first, hey, beautiful, hey, handsome, hey, they've known since that second that there was an expiration date like milk, like from day one on this situationship. This is not their first rodeo, and it will not be their last rodeo. So you're basically going to be pre-trained to just automatically tell on yourself, automatically spill the beans, give all the details, right? And and that's really for them to head off the discard at the pass, right? For them to kind of get you pre-trained and just tell them. At this point, if you really honestly think it over logically, think about everything going on and think back to those kind of endless cycles with no solutions, right? You've had all the same circular arguments, nothing gets resolved, la la la, same. And really, you've already screamed, you've talked, you've written letters, you've had dialogues with them, you've been understanding, you've been angry, you've written them paragraphs. What's going to change here? What's it going to do, right? Nothing for you. But what it actually will do that's not for you is, again, it's going to kind of subconsciously activate that malign Hoover response in them, where they will automatically, they're going to attempt to just replay the tune, right? The same old toxic cycle. That is their goal, to just keep that going as long as they can keep that going. But now, if you do that, with you being you're now going to be at a really distinct and dangerous disadvantage of them preparing ahead of time. You're just giving them a heads up, telling them what's going on so that they can turn up the heat, right? And now, with the knowledge for sure that you've now caught on and you're done and you're serious enough and you now have the resources and, the pluck and the will to actually plan pulling that escape lever. They're not going to let that happen. And a narc will then hyper-focus, in secret, of course, as usual, on leaving you before you leave them, like a 14 or 15-year-old, right? Time to grow up. You'll also notice if you stay, if you actually get talked back into staying with the target on you, you're going to notice that your credit and your finances are going to be hyper-focused on. They're going to hyper-target every single thing. Your physicality, your finances, the whole spiel. And they're also unfortunately going to completely unmask because they don't care anymore. They know you're kind of on the way out, right? So they're going to make your life so unbearable that you will have no choice but to haul ass to get out of there. That's what they're going to do. Or they're going to do something like suddenly kind of kick you out in the middle of winter, move someone else in to teach you a lesson. Meanwhile, the monkeys in the family aren't really going to know that they were just replacing other people and cheating and stuff, right? But, they're going to tell the monkeys that you did this or that, or, they cut you loose because you were doing X, Y, Z, right? And either way, honestly, what's going to happen is the you-guns are coming out and you will be to blame. Any way you slice the pie, you are going to be to blame. You will not win. And once it kind of gets to this point where you need to physically distance yourself just to have some relief. If you really think about it here, you cannot afford to worry about what others think or will say. They've already said it. They've already thought it in the background. They've already said it all, right? And you can only control really what you think, what you do, what you say. So no matter if you leave or they pull the old get out in the middle of the night, the blame will fall on you. Narcissism 101. They can't take accountability. For a bonus, if you are suddenly kicked out, they will actually ensure you have little to no support or resources, and that you're not prepared. So this is just good preparation, right? And we'll focus on really, they're going to focus on really destroying, specifically, especially if you have given them any type of warning. They're going to totally like hyper focus on this. So they're going to hyper focus on attacking your energy, your finances, any potential supports you might have been building, any finances you might have been finally saving up. You could have beaten an addiction, you could have done anything, right? But they're going to start focusing on tearing those down, your physicality, whatever they can. And it's going to be kind of systematically targeted to coincide with the worst possible moment for you. Say before you have a baby, or before you were planning on maybe getting a house or moving to an apartment or getting a car, whatever it may be, that's having an exam, whatever. This is when they're going to target this. And if you decide to leave with nothing, you don't give a crap about your stuff, you just want out. And over this, horrific behavior, you'll simply just going to be, they're just going to turn the tables and they're just going to start to smear you as a deserter who didn't give them proper notice. Well, you didn't even, you stuck them with this and that, which they were planning on doing to you from day one. If you manage to actually maintain your integrity and dignity, and others actually see that and you see who you are, with a select few monkeys, and you might have one or two, they're just going to switch to assigning their toxic behavior onto you, so that all your supports, they're going to just choke them all off. So saying, for instance, like you've left them, that's a famous one for someone else. I mean, well, they've probably already got somebody in the house, or basically whatever, they have or are doing, you are doing. And the toxic monkeys who kind of already know what the narc is, which is probably about 70% of them, I would estimate, they won't even question this. They're toxic little minds. They don't care and they won't question it. But either way, you cannot win. So it doesn't really matter what kind of talks you have or anything else you have. It's not going to matter. And the ones like them are simply happy to just welcome a new gladiator into the ring. New sources for them, new things for them, drugs, whatever they do. To entertain them, keep the narc's negative attention off of them, and kind of refocus on yet another pony, right? And they'd really, in the end, choose to be a toxic pet rather than cattle, because really in the end, they're cowards. They're all cowards. And they're not even having that compassion or that common sense or that basic decency to acknowledge that established pattern of the narc being the common denominator in every single past situationship they've ever been in. They are the common denominator to kind of, all the things that have gone down in the past. They're always the ones. So you're going to get no quarter from the supposed, non-toxic monkeys either. The one or two that you feel might not be toxic. Because they're, probably, unfortunately, going to pull something which I call the neutral zone. So they're gonna try to stay neutral. You can't stay neutral. And, honestly, in their minds, they probably might be thinking that they're kind of helping you guys to patch things up, and they're kind of feeling sorry for the victimized narc who's going on and on about how heartbroken they are. I mean, well, they've got supply probably in the house as they speak. But what they're going to do is kind of give that narc info on you, on your private life, and pull you back in. So here's where, the ones left standing for you, the ones that you feel are worthwhile to pursue in your own life, you can really, and the ones that genuinely know and see you will hear you. You can explain the behavior, and that if they are wanting to kind of still befriend the narcissist, that is, of course, their right, free will all the way. But unfortunately, you have to make a choice for you. And so your choice is that, unfortunately, you cannot be exposed to those who might kind of inadvertently, without meaning to, give that narcissist access to you. And, if you have to, say it's for safety reasons, tell them the truth, but don't be mean, don't be catty, don't make things up, none of that. Don't give too many details, or, really you're just kind of playing into that background smear campaign that they've already kind of probably planted in their heads as well. Honestly, here, my personal opinion, this is my personal opinion, is I recommend a no survivors scorched earth policy. Scorched earth. Because unfortunately, once a narc taints another person that's in your orbit, it's typically a done deal. And it's probably been done for weeks, months, years, perhaps even decades behind your back. And you are not going to get any type of kind of a sincere loyalty from any of them, because unfortunately they've planted those seeds so deeply and so often that it's just kind of going to be circulating in there no matter what you do. But if you really, really feel you can salvage one or two, that would just be, good for you and good for your life on your own, and that haven't yet been polluted by the narc's kind of background smear campaign, then this is what needs to happen. Not as good to have, needs to happen. You've finally removed yourself, but you'd be amazed who they have gotten to before they've pushed you to this point. Your children, your neighbors, their coworkers, your ex-friends. It would blow your mind. Your landlord, they'll get to everyone. And here's where you don't say to anyone where you've ended up either. Just keep that to yourself until you're kind of settled and you know what's what. Until you can kind of decide or see for yourself which side their bread is buttered on. I know that sounds a little strange. And really, at this point, you really have to stick very firm to your boundaries once you have made whatever decision that may be for yourself, which you feel is best for yourself. And your boundaries, my friends, are not mere suggestions. They are to be honored as you are to be honored. Okay? Or you remove yourself from the equation and you honor yourself. And especially I'm going to say for sure, the narcissist friends or family or close orbital circle, gone, scorched earth. Immediately delete and block all their social media, your emails from them, your cell phone, and the narcissist will go so far as to send coworkers, their family, their friends, your neighbors to your door. Oh, they will. And, they will try to plead victim so that these other people will reach out to you because they feel sorry for them, things like that. And you need to really cut them loose for sure, especially that particular group, because really and honestly, the damage has already been done. And if they're breaching your wishes anyway, obviously they really they don't respect you anyway to begin with. So you're really not going to get anywhere. Also assume, honestly, that this smearing and crap was probably done long before this dark day came to be. So this was in the works for a long time. And so, they are more than happy to be just kind of a plant, to plant themselves and go between after you're gone. Just so that they can report back to the narcissist and keep creating chaos with them. Here's the next don't. Don't watch the narcissist's social media or their friends and family's social media and be aware that they will be watching yours. Block, 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 block. Narcissists set you up for some serious hurt and they will count on you keeping some form of at least curiosity about them, or even just to make sure they're nowhere near you or whatever, by keeping those channels open. So if they know you've kept the channel open, they know the door is open. And so even by you responding with a go away or leave me alone or reaching out at all to inquire on an item or whatever, they've got you. One word. Any attention to a narc, even one word, will only encourage them to keep coming for you. Remember, you've got that target now. So, until they can kind of loop you back in for some more games and play with you a little more, and you're not a game. The next don't warn their family, their friends, their coworkers, anyone in their circle, even kind of neighbors that you've seen them talk to or be chummy with. Don't warn them that you are leaving. And that way also you can just do kind of little bits and pieces and kind of quietly on your own too. So to conclude, make sure to kind of have things like this. So have an emergency bag with your basics packed a few nights before. So include your car being gassed up, remove any spare keys they might have of your vehicle or your other properties or your lockers, anything like that. Change all of your passwords to your Google, your Chrome, your cell phone, your Apple IDs. Remove your locations Turn them all off, your social media settings, everything, because trust me, they're in there. Also look in your car check your car for GPS gadgets and ensure that they aren't tracking your phone, because they probably are. Pre-block their emails and filter out any unknown emails, because they will just make up they're crazy. They make up all these other weird emails, and so kind of you can pre-block them on a lot of the different applications. So, I honestly say get rid of your old Chrome, your old Gmail, your old sign-ins. Change your TV subscriptions, your Netflix and all that. They'll give people your codes and they can find your location that way. Your DoorDash, things like that. Make sure also you put 2-factor authorization on everything, and do it quality, because sometimes they'll even use your picture to get into your stuff. I'm not kidding. Ensure your car insurance is in your name only, because if it's not, they might even call on you to try to get you in trouble. And preferably get it like take it lesson off them. Get a cheap burner phone off Marketplace or something like that. And always have a spare charger in case you have to leave in a hurry. And on that phone have perhaps, it can contain your lawyer, your counselor, your shelter, your just 1 or 2 trusted contacts to start off with. And this is best done, quickly, like if you have to get to it quickly, right? So you're pre-planning a bag, and the best, at best you can, when they first leave the house is the best time to do this, because you know that they're going to be gone for a while, right? And above all, stay safe and work on those trauma bonds, or these cycles will most likely just keep repeating until those are dealt with. Also be prepared and know it's going to feel really, really weird when you leave. You're going to feel like a fish out of water. And really it's all about, you're going to find you seem to have an inordinate new amount of spare time on your hands, which you don't. You're just getting your time back. All right. And really you do. You're now going to have all this time. But the difference is now you have control and you have dominion over your own time and your own energy again. You have taken it back. Discern where that is, right? But another viewpoint here is really going to be a sheer shock to your system. It's going to be a shock. You're used to running about, explaining yourself, on the go, doing things, being on edge. You're just all the time, right? And so you're going to be astounded by just how much of your precious time and your energy and your resources they were draining on the daily. It's gonna blow your mind just how much. And so, prepare to kind of break that trauma bond as your first point of business, I guess. And if you have to lie on the floor and cry, it happens. You're going to have withdrawals from this, because you were used to this person controlling all your time, your thoughts, everything. And also another tip here would be to enjoy one small thing. Start small. It's going to feel weird too. Just something really small that you used to love. So think of the old you, right? They tend to rob you of music in your home, happy noise in your home, your favorite shows, your self-care, maybe simply having a nap, eating a snack when you want at midnight, taking a bath, whatever is your jam, right? Reading a book. And as you break that trauma bond, and I'm gonna link my own video on my take on how to break it, but I guess it's different for everybody too, right? But feel free to check also YouTube and social media for just type in something like breaking the trauma bond, and I do recommend also Dr. Ramani. I'm a follower of hers, so she's excellent. But eventually you will see the other side. You will, I promise you will. If you just got to give it time, do not fold. And it's going to be a tough go, but slowly you're going to realize small things, right? Like perhaps one day you're going to just wake up and be, wow, I slept through the night. Or you know what, my stomach doesn't hurt today. Or I'm starting to gain my weight back. Or wow, my hair stopped falling off in clumps. Or I'm not so tense today. Or I smiled at a stranger and didn't feel guilty. Or I have some money left in the bank this month. Or my bills are all paid and I have a little extra left, and wow, this is great. Or I have gas in my car this week, or whatever those little things are. You're going to start seeing those pick up more and more. So hold on to those. Each day is going to bring you a new little gift, and it's just for you. So unwrap it. And you're slowly going to rediscover the old you. And the old you didn't go far. They were just kind of wearily kind of in the back seat until it was safe to take the wheel again, right? So let them take the wheel again. And I just wanted to say to everybody, God bless, and remember to stay in your good character and in your integrity. And I hope this was helpful. Please, if you guys out there can please add some suggestions on this. I'm sure there's so many more tips and stuff we can give out, right? And suggestions on this one, because I think this one's kind of important for a lot of people just trying to kind of do that initial break, right? And you can, maybe something that helped you would be great. So let's all pay that forward, and we got to keep that light expanding for all. Bye for now.